In this video today, actually, I'm going to be talking about some tips. I'm going to be talking about a couple of steps that you can actually take to start up your own journey as a photographer if this is what you want to do, really. But I would say, like I said from the beginning, passion drives it all. Regardless of whatever it is you're doing or you're trying to do, it will get hard at some point, regardless of what it is. If you're given a job to pick oranges, it's going to get hard at some point. The only thing that's going to keep you going is the passion and the drive and the interest that you've put, or the value that you've put into it. And that's why I feel is the first step. Your passion, your interest really is what you want to do. You want to explore it. There's nothing wrong with exploring it. Go for it, right? If it's interest, go for it. But at some point, you will then have to decide if you want to take this to the next level or not. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about a couple of things in no particular order that you can actually do to step up your own photography journey. To start off, this is assuming you don't know anything about photography. So stay with me. We'll be back. Okay, so this first thing I'm going to talk about is like the first thing I actually first of all did when I started to have interest in photography. First thing I did was I noticed, I started to see what people could do with cameras. So I was like, okay, what can I actually do to learn? If I don't have a camera, if I don't have anything to use, what's the first thing I want to do? First thing I think you should do is to read as much as you can. Read, research, read, research, read, research again, then practice. Like read and read and read. Like there's nothing wrong with reading. Like what are you doing with your time? Like just, you're sitting down, go on Google, how to become a photographer, what is ISO, what is exposure triangle, what is this, how to snap the moon when it's not even lit, how to snap the sun while it's still bright. Like Joe, just Google anything that comes to your mind and read and research. Go, like just read as much. I think that's like the first step. Like I literally at some point used to read something on photography every day. And why? Not because I was so disciplined, but I happened to just put my email in one of those newsletters that says, oh, 7-day photography learning challenge and whatever. And then I just put my email there, and I got emails every day, and I would read them and And at some point, like for almost 2 years straight, I was reading something every day on photography. I don't do that as much now because I read a lot of other things, which I will still share with you guys. But with photography, read as much as you can, research as much as you can, and then the final part, practice. So obviously you would have read some things that you feel, oh, you need to try. If you have a camera, of course, go ahead, jump into it, start to try it. But if you don't, just find a way. Trust me, there's a way. There's one of your friends that's camera. If not, maybe your friend's friend or your family member or somebody, or look for somebody, I think I'm even getting to the next point. The next point is actually get to know somebody that owns a camera, create a friendship, a connection, a community with people. Join a community actually of people that have the same interests with you, and then you can leverage on those relationships at the same time. So look for somebody. You may have a friend or somebody that has a camera that you can try, and if you can't even get a camera, you can actually even download apps on your iPhone that will help you use your camera use your camera manually, which I can also I'm putting in the description below for you if you want to try that. So there's really nothing stopping you from practicing. But guess what? You have to read first, and practice. Okay, so the second thing I want to talk about is YouTube University. It's a very underrated thing, to be honest. Like I never really rated it until recently. no, but I'm being honest. Like you can actually attend YouTube University. And when you say university, I actually mean it like university. Like you could be on YouTube for 4 years studying something off of information on YouTube. Like I'm not even overstating it. Like it's actually possible, because you know why? Everybody's sharing something. Like everybody's sharing knowledge. There's so much knowledge out there. I think we're in the age where knowledge is not lacking, right? And it's everywhere. So I would say go to YouTube University. Like anything you want to do, on a camera, like anything you want to do, anything you want to try out, just go on YouTube. I'm sure that's why you're even watching this video, but you're already on the track. But do more of that. Like do a lot of that. if you're not really a YouTube person, obviously, like if you're watching this video for the first time, that's what you should do. You want to learn photography, go on YouTube. There's so many photographers on YouTube, including me. Yeah, so many photographers on YouTube that you can actually watch, their stuff, and you would learn a lot. Like I would even suggest that you watch so many photographers, as many as you can, because that's what is going to give you a lot more base, a lot more space to actually learn from different perspectives. There's nothing better than learning from so many people, because at that point you would be able to actually gather knowledge from so many people. And if you look at history, the word university in the time, in the late Caesarean times, were more like spaces where people would come with knowledge, come around and just share knowledge. It wasn't necessarily academic, like you had to, write an exam or something, but it was where people would bring knowledge, scientific knowledge, physics, whatever it is, and just express and share with, the community. So yeah, do that. Go to YouTube University right now. So subscribe to my channel, and many more channels that have your interest, subscribe and start to watch, start to read, start to practice. The next thing I'd like to talk about is investment in yourself. Investing in knowledge for yourself, basically investing in your own development. When you invest in yourself, basically what you're doing is that you're actually developing your capacity to do what you can do. You're actually creating value for yourself. You're becoming a more valuable, person. Your work is becoming more valuable when you invest in yourself. So sometimes you have to put, investments could mean your time, could also mean your money, could mean a couple of things, your focus, but you have to invest in developing your own self. So your first investment in photography would not necessarily be equipment or whatever it is you want to use to shoot. What you should be investing in first is your own knowledge, yourself, learning how to do whatever it is. So if you have to get an internship with somebody who knows, you don't want to quickly it's almost like saying getting a mentor. Basically, you get an internship with somebody who knows how to photograph, like if a professional photographer, if you have access to one. Or maybe you want to invest in a course, buy a course, or attend a workshop if you can afford it. Like depending on your options, there are actually options there for you to find a way to invest in yourself in any way that you can. It could even be a little course somebody is selling online somewhere for a little price that you can actually afford. Maybe not necessarily maybe a big workshop where you have to pay a huge amount of money for, or maybe training with a one-on-one professional photographer may be too expensive. Like it depends, like whether there are options to actually achieve your goal, which is you have to find a way to invest in yourself. Next thing I want to talk about is for you to create or join a community. I think it's very good in photography. It helps you develop even really fast. There are people out there with different ideas. I believe ideas are like birds. They fly and they land on our brains, on all of us, everywhere, all at the same time. It's really those who take action that those ideas, we could say, have laid eggs in their minds. So for me, I think relating to other people, relating to other artists, other photographers, even within your own circle and outside your circle is very interesting. It's very important to actually help broaden your perspective on how to do things. So you could find a way to join a community. Even apart from joining a community physically, there's so many ways you could actually join communities online. So there's so many communities out there where people are talking about different things, critiquing images, advertising things to each other, whatever. And community doesn't necessarily even have to be that deep for you. It could actually be just your clique of friends. That is your community. So you have a particular friend who is a photographer as well, and you're also a photographer as well. Obviously, he tries things differently and you try things differently. So your energies, might merge in that sense. So you create a community of people, of friends who have the same interests. Sometimes it could even be when you go to school or something, you have friends who have the same interest and you guys, develop that interest together. You create that community to help you develop. No man is an island. And so you have to network with people to actually develop yourself and develop your opportunities, open yourself to broader perspectives. The next thing I'd like to address really is niche. Like as a photographer, it's like you hear a lot in a lot of videos that you need to know what your niche is or develop your own style as a photographer. Yes, Yeah, all of these things are right and correct and important. But as a starting photographer, I would say that, like, explore as much as you want, snap anything, shoot anything, like, just explore. Like, it's during that journey you start to actually develop your style. You start to actually develop who you are as an artist, and that's when you find out what you like and what you don't like, that kind of thing. I mean, there are some things you may not necessarily even be opportune to try. As I am, there's still some things I've not tried that I would love to try. Honestly, I would love to be in a helicopter taking images of polar bears, right from above, but then who will pay for the helicopter? And who's gonna fly me there, that kind of thing. But yeah, like, do as much as you can do with what you have, and that's another point, very important. But it's very, very important that you explore all niches, all genres of photography. If it's wildlife, if it's weddings, if it's portraits, if it's studio, if it's street photography, whatever it is you feel like shooting, really, just go for it, like, explore it. And over time, you start to really find out what you are really enjoying, what you really like. A lot of times it even comes when you're editing it. How much joy do you feel when you're editing, a landscape image versus how much joy do you feel when you're editing a wedding image, or how much joy do you feel if you're, editing you're trying to walk on a lion's, face. I don't know. Some people might just find joy, cleaning up, elephants and stuff. But like, it's so interesting. Like, photography is so wide. You could even want to tell stories. But whatever it is, like, explore what it is, because that way you begin to bring your own uniqueness as a person. We're all unique, like a fingerprint. So it's like you have to bring your own uniqueness to the table, and that's where you would actually develop yourself, when you begin to explore as much as you can. Over time, you'll find out what you really want. Don't worry about that for now. Just explore, shoot anything, snap anything, and keep going. Next thing I want to talk about is when you do that, explore other people's work. Like, look at, like, a lot of work that you admire and you enjoy out there, learn about them and try to recreate them. There's nothing wrong in trying to recreate somebody's work, like, in the sense that trying to make it your own, like looking at the work and learning from it. Oh, how did this person shoot this? Let me try and create these same conditions. And in the process of you doing that, you begin to come across the obstacles that person most likely came across when they were making those images as well. And then you begin to learn in that process of how to actually make images like that. And then when you even want to apply that knowledge in other areas, maybe even commercially or whichever way you want to apply it, you could actually find ways to avoid some of the things you've learned trying to recreate another person's work. All right, guys, so there's this statement that is usually attributed to Pablo Picasso, where he said, "Good artists borrow and great artists steal." It's actually a very, very interesting statement. Good artists borrow and great artists steal. What that means not necessarily means that, like, stealing, somebody's work, but it's almost like what I just said, learning something and recreating it. In that process, that is how you become a good artist. You develop on what you're learning off of that person's work. So, and the world develops from developing on something, developing a structure on a structure. Technology as we know it today is also development on somebody's work, like more development on it. So yes, that is what it's all about. Being able to look at, being able to learn from from the world and the creative energy around you, and being able to create your own unique work out of that. I mean, it's so interesting that, during the conquests in Africa, like, a lot of African art was stolen, and shipped out of Africa, into all these places. And this was some of the periods where people like Pablo Picasso actually was getting really inspired. To be honest, he got inspired by a lot of African art, but what do I know? But anyways, like, it's interesting. Just go out there, learn things, and try to recreate them. You'll see that you will learn a lot in that journey. Reviewing your work is a very important part of developing yourself as a photographer. So it's very important for you to actually look at the images you make and objectively critique them. And I say objectively, it's a very thin line between actually objectively critiquing your work and actually looking down on yourself. Imposter syndrome. Now, there's a point where you could start to feel over-critique your work. What you feel is not perfect. You want everything to be perfect. Oh, because I learned about lighting today, this lighting wasn't exactly how I wanted it. Because I learned about ISO 2 days ago, this ISO is not really how I wanted it. So it's not really perfect. So it's not really what I want. I'm actually being objective. I'm looking at my work objectively. No, you're not. You're not. You're probably just overthinking it. Now, when I say objective critique, you're actually reviewing your images constantly. You're actually looking at what you can correct, what you can change, what you can learn. But most importantly, that creative energy, you're putting it out there. You have to put the work, you have to let it go. They get that kind of thing. You have to put your work out there. If your way of putting your work out there is by putting it on Instagram or whatever, put it on Instagram. Not for the likes or whatever, just to let go of that creative energy so that you can create space for more. It's a very interesting thing. So you have to review your images constantly and let them go. Look at what you can learn, look at what you can gain, and look at, at some point you start to create pieces that you'll be like, man, yeah, I did that. You'll be proud of yourself, be like, yeah, that's my work. Yeah, so it's very important that you do that. And that even leads me to the next point that I'm going to make right now, which is to actually accept your growth, reward yourself, appreciate your own growth. The only way you can appreciate your growth is when you review your work and when you objectively review your work. Objectively, like when I say honestly, in truth, tell yourself the truth about your own work, what you can learn, what you can gain, what you can change. All those things lead to you actually appreciating your growth, because you now start to see, oh my God. Go back to some of the images you took if you ask any professional photographer today, anybody that's, just go back to pictures like year back in the day, like you'll be like, wow, so this is what I was doing then. And this used to happen to me a lot, where I would go for a shoot. When I started learning, I'll go for a shoot. I'll do the shoot. It'll be nice. I'll be so confident, yeah, I did this. Yeah, oh my God, it went well and all of that. But I'll just continue to live life. 6 months, because I told you, I said I read so like every day. So over time after that shoot, I've learned a lot between that time, and 6 months after that time. So, and then I'm going for another shoot 6 months after, and then I start to have flashbacks of when I was going for the other shoots 6 months ago. And I'm like, oh my God, I know so much more now. And I can't even believe that I used to go to all those shoots in the past without this knowledge that I've learned within the 6 months. But then I went to that shoot so confidently, and I was like, so if this problem happened in that shoot 6 months ago, how would I have even handled it? But I don't know, maybe it didn't happen for a reason, but things happen in shoots, to be honest. And that's where we learn. So the real thing is that, just jump into it, enjoy the process. That's what it is. And accept reward yourself and appreciate your own growth, because there's no way you'll be spending time investing in knowledge, investing in something that you wouldn't see results. You would definitely see results. There's so many things to talk about actually, but this video, I don't want it to go too long. So I'm going to put it into 2 parts. This is part 1 actually, where I'm talking about things that you can do to become, a photographer, to start off your journey, and would lead you boom, straight into, what you're looking for. All I'm saying in summary is that you have to actually appreciate, respect, and reward your own growth, because as you're investing your time daily working in this, creative energy that you're expressing, you will definitely begin to see results. And the only way you can appreciate it is when you review yourself, you look back and you actually look at what you've developed, how you've developed over time. And the interesting thing about being a photographer is that when you make images, it's like already recording your own work in real time. So by the time you go back to pictures that you were making 4 or 5 years ago or whatever the time is taking you, you would see the change, in that. So that's where you actually really have to appreciate. For me personally, I used to, let me not go too much actually you should check the second video, the part 2 of this video, where I'll be talking about tips, tricks, everything that you could actually do to start off your own journey, as a photographer. But yeah, if you've learned anything today, please comment, and share this video. And yeah, so catch you on the next one, where I'll be talking a lot more about, getting you to starting your own photography journey. See you guys next time.